Greetings, this is Teresa Nikas, and I'll be your host for today's Quiet Echo. Tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 Pacific Time A, federal judge in San Francisco will hear arguments in a case I think every American business owner should be paying attention to. It does not matter whether you have ever used artificial intelligence. It does not matter whether you know what a large language model is. What matters is the question at the center of this case, and the question is simple. What happens in this country when you say no? Let me tell you what happened. Anthropic is an artificial intelligence company based in San Francisco. It makes the AI system called Claude. Last year, Anthropic signed a $200 million contract with the Pentagon. Claude became the first AI system approved for use on classified military networks. The relationship was working. Then the Pentagon asked Anthropic to change two terms. The military wanted unrestricted use of the technology for, and this is their language, all lawful purposes. Anthropic said it would not allow Claude to be used for mass surveillance of American citizens or for weapons systems operating without a human making the final decision. The Pentagon said a private company cannot tell the military how to use technology it has purchased. Anthropic said these are not negotiable. And here is where a normal business story ends. The buyer says, "I need these terms." The seller says, "I cannot agree to those terms." They shake hands. They walk away. Maybe they come back to the table later. Maybe they do not, but nobody gets hurt on the way out the door. The Pentagon did not shake hands. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth designated Anthropic a supply chain risk. Now, I want you to understand what this label means. A supply chain risk designation has been used against foreign companies suspected of espionage or sabotage, companies connected to adversary governments. It has never in the history of the designation been applied to an American company. Until Anthropic said no. The government's argument is straightforward, and I want to give it a fair hearing. Federal lawyers say Anthropic's refusal is a business decision, not protected speech. They argue Anthropic could alter or shut down its own system during military operations if the company decided its values were being violated. A vendor with a kill switch, they say, is a risk the military cannot accept in a war zone. I understand this argument. If you are a soldier and the tool you depend on might be turned off by a company in San Francisco because of a policy disagreement, you have a problem. Anthropic's argument is equally direct. The company says it is not trying to force the government to buy its product. It is asking the court to prevent the government from destroying its reputation and its business as punishment for negotiating. Nearly 150 retired federal and state judges appointed by both Republican and Democratic presidents filed a brief supporting Anthropic. Their words were precise. Nobody is trying to force the department to contract with Anthropic. Anthropic is asking only not to be punished on its way out the door. Microsoft filed a brief in support. Scientists from OpenAI and Google filed in support. Former senior national security officials filed in support. And then there is the part I keep coming back to. Hours after Anthropic was blacklisted, the Pentagon signed a deal with OpenAI, a competing company. And the terms of the deal included the same restrictions Anthropic was punished for holding. No mass surveillance, no autonomous weapons, no high-stakes decisions without a human in the loop. Same red lines, different company, no blacklist. I do not know how the government explains this. Their court filing does not address it. I am not a lawyer. I am a newspaper editor in a small town. I have lost advertisers over things I printed. I know what it costs to say no to someone with power over your income. And I know the difference between a customer who walks away and a customer who tries to make sure nobody else does business with you on the way out. I once ran a story about a landlord in Cedar Valley who was failing to maintain his properties. He pulled his advertising. Then he called two other businesses and told them if they kept advertising with us, he would not renew their leases. One of them called me. She was angry, not at him, at me for putting her in the position. I understood, but I also understood what had happened. The landlord did not just stop doing business with me. He went after the people around me. It was not commerce. It was punishment. Every small business owner in Cedar Valley knows this difference. You have the right to say no. You have the right to set your terms, and you had better be prepared for what comes next. Principle is not free. It never has been. Anthropic said no to the most powerful buyer on earth. Whether you think they were brave or foolish depends on where you sit. But the question the court will take up tomorrow is not whether Anthropic was wise. The question is whether the response was proportional or whether the government reached for a weapon designed for foreign enemies and aimed it at an American company for the sin of negotiating. I do not have the answer. Tomorrow, a judge will begin sorting through it. I will wait for her answers before I pretend to have mine. But I am watching, and so should you. This is Teresa Nikas, your host for today's Quiet Echo. Thanks for listening. Quiet Echo is part of the fictional Cedar Valley news series written by Evan Swenson, publisher, publication consultants, and Claude Marshall, AI developmental editor. While the people in town are fictional, the national events they reflect on are real. Claude Marshall uses Anthropic's technology. Cedar Valley News has a Facebook group. If you have comments and want to join the conversation, you are welcome. I will put the link in the show notes.
You've been listening to the Cedar Valley News Podcast, where small-town voices meet the headlines shaping our world. From faith and family to front porches and fields. We'll be back with more stories connecting real lives to real events. Until next time, keep your porch light on, your faith strong, and your heart open.